Welcome to the Wolverine Digest podcast, the best spot for objective and authentic coverage of Michigan athletics. If you want open dialogue, honest opinions, and in-depth coverage of the maize and blue, this is the podcast for you. And now, here's your host, Brandon Brown, joined as always by Chris Breiler.
I was going to start by saying go blue.
Go blue, go blue. What is up on a Wednesday, dude? On a Wednesday, I see the fans trickling in. Everybody's pumped about a fan-led Wednesday.
Can we tell them what happened to me? What just happened to me?
Do I even know? Am I?
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, it's not a huge deal, but I wonder if anybody's ever done this. Well, I know you've done it, but this just happened to me, so I want to give everybody kind of an idea of where my headspace is at tonight, heading into fan-led Wednesday. So apparently, I was sitting on the couch. I ate some pizza a little bit earlier this afternoon, kind of went heavy on the carbs, and then apparently I passed out on the couch. And so I woke up at about 6:30, extremely confused. Why was I on the couch? I thought it was the morning. I thought I had slept all through the night, and it was early in the morning. So that's what's going on with me. I really have my stuff together over here.
Yeah.
Fresh off a nap, a little bit of mozzarella in the beard.
I haven't. Well, that's a sight we all want to see.
Mozzarella.
Right. I will say this. I probably talked about it with you guys before, but Chris and I have spent a lot of time together now at this point. And if that dude right there says, just give me a minute, just need to rest my eyes, I'm just going to go on standby for a minute. That's kind of our running joke. Whenever I can't get a hold of Chris, I'm like, dude, are you on standby again? Chris is we talked about this recently. Chris has now reached the age. My dad does this. Everybody's grandfather does this. Maybe your favorite uncle somewhere does this. They will not admit to being tired and falling asleep. Can't do it. Won't do it. Can't do it. That's Chris. He's like, dude, the most prime example was when we were up at the cottage. I mean, granted, we had just put in some days worth of work, whether we were down in Indy or the drive up to Mackinac or the day at Mackinac, whatever. And, Chris is vaguely awake. And then he's like, we're trying to get a bunch of content out. We've been grinding. I'm like, you going to put something up? He's like, yeah, I just need a little standby. Like 9 hours later, he wakes up dressed and bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. And,
it's rough.
Sometimes you just got to do that. And we talked about this, Chris. What is the age where you get to where you cannot admit fatigue anymore?
I'm not sure, man, but it definitely happened. And I'm concerned. I mean, this is happening to me at 38. Like, I hopefully have a long time to go. There's no doubt I'm going to be one of those dudes at the family get-togethers later on in life that's just passed out in the chair all afternoon. That will be my contribution to the family get-togethers moving forward. And I'm excited about it.
So there you go. I'm excited. I found what do you call this, by the way? The muffler, I guess? I don't even know.
Muffler. Yeah, let's call it a muffler. I like that.
The muffler. Lost it for a couple days. It was in the bottom of my book bag underneath some other electronics. So I'm happy to have this back. It's twofold. Makes the audio sound a lot better. Hides the double chin. So there you go. I don't know where the double chin comes from.
Jesus, is that a silo of Pepsi over there?
It's a silo of Pepsi. I'm just trying to knock this corner off right here. Bend the corner a little bit. Anyway, we're just BSing a little bit here, because we're waiting for some people to load up and get in here. Appreciate the people already in, and hopefully you've got your questions ready, because we're pretty much just gonna do fan-led questions today.
We're ready. We're ready to jump right into it. You guys have had, a week to prepare for this. Get the questions ready. Get the topics ready. Brandon and I, we're tired of coming up with the stuff. We want to hear from you guys. So whatever you want to talk about. You want to talk about Michigan football? Let's talk Michigan football. You want to talk, sports in a bigger sense? Bring up some topics there. Whatever it is you guys feel like is worthy of discussion tonight, it's on you.
Yeah, I love Wednesdays. It's not a lot of prep. We just show up and hope we can bring something to you guys a little bit, and that's what it's all about. There is a couple little things today. We got a chance to talk to Sharon Moore and Steve Clinkscale today for the availability. I thought both of them are awesome. I mean, it's it's really cool when you get coaches that like to talk and also know their shit. I mean, Michigan's got quite a few of those guys, but Steve Clinkscale is awesome at the microphone. Me and Chris have talked about this before. Just got a presence about him. Cool dude, knows his stuff, been doing it a long time. I think he's the oldest coach on the staff now, if I'm not mistaken, and he's not that old, but just kind of speaks to how young the rest of the guys are.
Well, you got Fred Jackson on the staff too, I'm pretty sure.
Well, he's not a position coach.
Not a position coach. Analyst, right?
There's probably some analysts that might be older than Klink. But anyway, he went into some stuff about, just talking about the boundary corner versus the field corner, the left safety and the right safety. And he's talked about Omarion Walker, and he talked about, the strides that Makari Page has made. And I don't know, man, like, I found myself feeling like I was learning a lot just listening to Steve Clinkscale talk. And then it's also cool to hear Sharon Moore talk about his new role as the OC and how the play calling duties are going. So like, I thought it was a productive day. It's only week 2, but Chris and I have talked about this before too. The press conferences get to be a little much. I mean, you're there Monday, you're there Tuesday, you're there Wednesday. And a lot of times you just don't get a ton out of them.
Well, they don't want to talk to us. They don't want to talk to us. They don't want to be there.
I felt like I got a lot today. That was my point. I think hearing Sharon Moore and Steve Clinkscale today was awesome. The players on Tuesday nights, sometimes not the greatest. Always got to hear what Harbaugh has to say, obviously. Yeah. This week he wasn't in a very talkative mood. He wasn't really fielding questions. But anyway, we're here on Wednesday.
The questions are rolling in, dude. I'm seeing them. They're flooding in.
So we can just jump right into it, I guess.
Let's get to it.
Back up and see what else we got. Man, oh man. Let's see. Yeah, is there a Spartan fan in here? I see a couple people talking about that. I'm not sure why.
We'll flush them out.
Hang out. I mean, there's not going to be, we're not going to post 30 pictures of our head coach like flexing or like laying in a pool, or you might feel a little uncomfortable. We don't do that here. So might not be the best spot for you. Anyway, where we're going to be this weekend, Chris? Where we always are.
517 Berkeley, my guy. 517 Berkeley, 4-minute walk away from the big house. Always more than welcome to stop by, man. We had such a good turnout Saturday for the Y game. I know that we had some weather there, but we were out there for most of the day. Got to meet a lot of people that we interact with here on the social media end of things, man. It was really cool. So yeah, 517 Berkeley. We're there every weekend, at least through these first 4 games here. We're trying to feel it out, man. We're trying to see what the traffic's like, what the environment's going to be like. So far, it's been pretty good for us. So at least for the time being, 517 Berkeley is where we're going to be.
CJ, not 24 hours, but not a lot more. I'm going like a day and a half.
If you cut Brandon open, Coca-Cola and Pepsi spills out. It's like a mixture.
Yeah, it's a little much, dude. I mean, I'm not really trying, but I keep thinking that I'm trying to like make some changes. I'd like to
changes.
Yeah. Who's your favorite third baseman?
Well, maybe we open it up too wide here. I don't give a shit about baseball. I couldn't care less about baseball.
No, he wasn't even a third base. Was he a shortstop? I don't know. I don't know baseball that well, to be completely honest with you.
Lou Whitaker. There we go.
Brandon Inge playing the hot corner over there.
Oh, shit. Ryan Day. How did that go over our heads? Is that what it was supposed to be for? I don't know. I think so. Was that a lead-in? I think they served it up and we just whiffed.
Yeah, maybe.
We just whiffed.
Let's see that. Well, okay. We can start right here. Chris,
I like it.
He's one of our favorite guys. We had a chance to sit down with him back in February. Awesome kid. Super talented kid. We all saw that last year against Michigan State. Barely had a chance. He's barely had a chance this year. And again, the opponent not throwing it a ton, trying to figure the QB thing out through 2 weeks. But how many does he get? How many do you want to see him get? I mean, last week you were like, dude, somebody on this team has to get at least 5 catches. It happened, so you probably felt pretty good about that. It was Ronnie Bell, but Andrel, man, he's barely been noticed out there on the field so far.
Yeah, man, I'm shocked by it. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's some things that they were trying to figure out with the offense. Obviously, the first 2 weeks, I think with JJ in there, Andrel has a better shot of his production going up, and so while I don't like what the first 2 weeks have looked like for him, I'm willing to give it another 2 weeks with an offense that just has now a firm core, QB1, a guy who can get out and sling the ball all over the field. If I'm JJ McCarthy, I'm definitely looking for Andrel Anthony. He proved last year that he's got the speed and the burners and the jets to make things happen in the open field. It's just a matter of getting him the ball. We know that they've got a lot of wide receivers. They've got a lot of good targets, but man, I mean, just based on swag alone, Andrel Anthony should have 5 receptions a game. You got to get that man the ball. Put the ball in his hands. I mean, I don't know what it is. Get him on some jet sweeps or something. Just get him in the flow of the game. Andrel Anthony has got to be a focal point of this offense moving forward. I truly believe that.
The speed, the burners, and the jets. The rare
all of them. The trifecta.
Trifecta for Andrel. I'm with you. I mean, it was. I mean, really, dude, it's crazy to think Roman Wilson has touched the ball 4 times. He scored on 3 of them. But even he's only got the ball 4 times. AJ Henning, maybe less. We talked about this. A lot of weapons, only 1 ball. Not throwing it a lot yet, but yeah, gotta work these guys in, man. Too good, too fast, too talented to let them stand over there and just be, just look good in the uniform. Got to get them the rock. Haven't really heard about this angle necessarily when it comes to these not so challenging non-conference games. Do we think that having these blowout games will hurt the team down the line as far as conditioning goes? Because the guys aren't out there. And look, I don't know about conditioning because I think these dudes are in shape. They're ready to go. They've gone through fall camp. Herb gets them right. I think they take care of their bodies and they know what's going on there for like a snap count type of thing. But I said it I was on the radio earlier with Jamie Morris today. Happy to be back with doing those guys show on Wednesday. So looking forward to that. But they asked me about, I do think there's something to be said with like the flow of the game, the kind of working up a lather for the O-line, getting a running back into rhythm. We haven't really seen that yet. Cause what did Blake Corum had 9 carries last week. And there's been a little bit of shuffling with some dinged up linemen that if they had to go, they probably could go. I don't know what Ryan Hayes was dealing with week 1, but he played week 2. I mean, it couldn't have been that bad, in my opinion. Now, Carson Barnhart, we'll see, but he's not a starter. So anyway, my point is, I don't know about conditioning, Chris, but I do think, there's value in guys playing 3.5, 4 quarters of football, getting the feel for the rotation, really getting into the mix, whittling it down to playing 25 to 30 guys on offense as opposed to 40 plus like we've seen for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I don't think it has much to do with conditioning at all, but it does have a lot to do with rhythm and continuity and just getting a feel for being out on the football field. And I think that, you got Maryland in 2 weeks, which, Maryland is who Maryland is. You obviously don't want to take any Big Ten opponents lightly, but Maryland hasn't really put up much of a challenge for Michigan since they've been in the Big Ten, to be honest. So I think over the next couple of weeks, you've got to start to get your first team guys more minutes, more time out on the field, just so that they're prepared. I mean, when you go into Kinnick, when you go into Iowa, it's, that's going to be probably a 4-quarter game. I know that Iowa sucked against South Dakota State and they haven't looked all that great, but I do think the Hawkeyes are going to give the Wolverines their best effort. And I do expect it to be a 4-quarter game. And you don't want your first full 4-quarter game to be on the road in Kinnick in a stripe out environment. And so, I think you got the quarterback situation settled. Now you've got the next 2 weeks to really get that offense up and running. And man, if they can be firing on all cylinders by week 5, heading into the meat of that schedule, that sets up really well for the Michigan Wolverines later on in the fall. And I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think I brought that up earlier this week. Somebody asked Jim Harbaugh that, and he said, there's no way to know the future. And it's well, come on, man. You're the one doing the subs.
It is when you're calling the shots.
Yeah. Are you the one subbing them in? And are you going to do it the same way or are you not? I do think there's, it's kind of like that third preseason. Well, they've scaled it back. There are only 3 now, but it used to be the third preseason game in the NFL. The starters would play a full half, maybe even into the third quarter. Then you take them out. And then the 4th game, they didn't play at all. It was kind of like the dress rehearsal. So I know Michigan, these ones actually count, but Michigan's favored by 47. Against UConn. They're going to win these games. So it's about, it is about kind of tightening that rotation up and seeing what it looks like. So I'm intrigued. I wonder how it's going to look this week. Could very well be 42-0 again at halftime, and then we don't see the starters in the second half. But I think it might serve them better to leave them in for a little bit just to get that feel. Chris, this is a great question for you, dude, because you are down there rubbing elbows with these guys. Did I lose it? Where'd it go? There it is. Thoughts on the DJ being on the sidelines for every home game now, spinning the records, getting the music going a little bit. I mean, do you notice it? Does it feel any different? Have you found yourself checking it out and being like, oh, I like that. I don't like that. I mean, from the booth, you can't even tell. I have no idea what's going on. So I'm curious from down there on the field level if it looks any different.
I mean, I can tell it's going on only because when I'm going from one side of the field to the other side of the field, I cross in front of it. And so I see that there's a DJ set up there, but I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's awesome, but I don't know. You could I could pump music into the stadium from my iPod as far as I'm concerned. So I don't know how much of a game changer it is, but I mean, I think having a DJ there that can, help work the crowd and get people excited, it's never a bad thing. So I would say, it's cool.
Other than putting him up on the big board a few times a game, it's the same as a guy in the booth running the music, which is what they've done in the past. Yeah, so I don't know. Whatever. It's cool enough, and I guess the DJs, they probably love it. It's a pretty big crowd to play to,
of course.
But I think minimal in either direction. Cool for what it is. Doesn't really make a huge impact on what's going on in the stadium. This is a good question, and this is what I think. I do think CJ Stokes is going to be the number 2 back this week. I think if Blake Corum is even 98%, you just sit him down, let him get right, maybe for the next 2 weeks. I don't know. I mean, I'm sorry, I said Blake Corum. Donovan Edwards. If Donovan Edwards is a little dinged up and he's not 100%, sit him down, get him rested, get him right for the Big Ten grind. You're certainly not going to need him this week. And Stokes has looked really good. I mean, he's been running hard, fast. He knows what he's doing out there. So I think that's totally fine. And then you've got Tavi Dunlap, who has done some nice things in the past as well. I mean, Michigan's going to be fine at running back if Donovan Edwards misses a game or two, especially if it's this one against UConn.
Yeah, I mean, this is where all that depth really comes into play, that you don't have to rush a guy back. CJ Stokes is obviously more than serviceable at the number 2 position there. And I think you're going to see quite a bit of him this weekend. I think it's probably going to be light work again for Blake Corum and probably a heavy dose of CJ Stokes. And I know that there's a lot of people that are pretty high on CJ Stokes and excited to see what he can show. And I'm sure he's anxious for the opportunity on Saturday as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. You can't answer this. This is a broken rule type of question. This is Jim Harbaugh. He says, I hate to compare things because you always end up disparaging somebody else.
Well,
we just saw it for a month. You can't talk about JJ.
I know how to answer it.
You can't. If you mention JJ, you hate Cade. We just saw it for a month. That's not true, but that's how it was perceived. Do we have a favorite fan?
Well, in the general sense, I'd say my favorite fan is the fan who reads the content we put out, who stops by the RV, who hangs out in the comment section when we're doing our live shows. So in that sense, Sean Bennett, you're my favorite fan. Mason Kaiser, you're my favorite fan. Terry Trevino, all the guys that are in here. Michael Allen, Darren May, every single night. CJ Frazier, the crew just comes through. So that's what my favorite fan is. I don't have one. I have many a favorite fan.
Michael Allen, a.k.a. my Uncle Mike, by the way.
Uncle Mike.
Yeah, there it is.
Up in the club.
In here again. Who is your favorite fan? I mean, I could probably pick my dad and get away with that, right? I mean, I don't think I'd make too many.
Well, yeah.
My mom might be in here. I'm not sure.
Might piss off your mom. You might piss off your uncle.
I would like to think my son likes me, but I'm not sure about that all the time. He's, daddy go away type of thing. But, whatever. Yeah, we got a lot. We got a lot of good fans. We saw that last week. Hope to see it again this week in every home game and away game that we're at, man. I hope we get a lot of people to stop out because that's really cool, man.
Logan, Dwayne, Mike, Nick. I mean, yeah, you're all on the list. You're all on the list.
I know. I get it because before I started doing this for a job, I looked at the people in the media market the same way. But Chris, what does it make you feel like when people ask to take pictures with us? Is it weird for you?
Well,
it's awesome.
Yeah. I was gonna say at first it was weird, but man, I'm just fully embracing this experience, man.
Cool.
And I'm meeting so many people that I wouldn't have met otherwise. And so at first it's a little bit weird because who the hell am I? I'm a nobody, but I think it's cool that, people, they watch us on the computer, they see us so much. And then you finally get that real life interaction. And I look forward to it, man. At first I was uncomfortable, but I love it.
I apologize. I'm not going to remember the dude's name. He spent a good bit of time with us last week at the tailgate before the game, and he said that he just sends his wife just like the guys are on, and she just knows like not to mess with him for like an hour. He might say in the comments if he's in here. I apologize. We did meet a lot of people. I don't remember every single person's name that was out there, but that kind of stuff just cracked me up because I said the same thing. I was like, I can't believe you guys want to take a picture with us. We're just too slapped. We're just out here doing this.
Just a couple of yahoos over here.
He's like, no. He's like, I'll have my phone propped up at the kitchen table. Be quiet. The guys are on. It's like, wow. All right.
I love it, man.
I do too. It's really cool, man. And it's why we're able to do this, dude. I mean, that's the bottom line. So really, really appreciate that. And I'm not going to pick a favorite. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to fall into that trap. Chris.
It's an unfair question, Sean Bennett.
You've got 2 kids. Like, who's your favorite kid? Can't do that.
You know what? But that's a weird thing, man. I remember before I don't want to get too far off on this, but before we had our daughter, it was just our son was around, and I couldn't imagine loving another kid as much. And that was a real fear about having a second kid. Like, can I love another human being as much as I love this kid? And much like with kids, Brandon, as you add them, your love just grows. It doesn't divide; it just grows. And so every single person here in the comment, every follower, every reader, the love just grows, man, equally. Appreciate all of you. Spend all your time.
All right, I'm not gonna. That song just takes too long to. Can we speed up the runway, Sarah?
You got to cut about 10 seconds off the runway and just get to Sarah.
I think I actually started it later than it does. I think there's more to the instrumental intro than what's on.
You got to when it's that much emotion, you got to build it up.
All right. Chris, this has been asked a couple times over there in the comments, and I'm curious to your take. Does Jim Harbaugh's demeanor change when he talks about JJ? Like, and I see you smirking because I think in the past you said that Harbaugh used words like electric or dynamic or different things like that, but people in the comments are saying they thought like it was the opposite. Like he kind of tones it down when he talks about JJ, and I maybe I just haven't been looking for that. I feel like I haven't really noticed that, so I'm curious if you have.
I feel like I've not only noticed it from Jim Harbaugh, but I've noticed it from the players as well. And I don't necessarily think it's intentional. I just think everybody is keenly aware that one Mr. JJ McCarthy is getting a ton of love from pretty much everywhere, whether it's the fan base, PFF, people on the outside looking in. I think they're just trying to make sure that they don't want to appear to be in one camp or the other. And then as a consequence of that, they just look somewhat disinterested when they talk about JJ. Like, yeah, he's great. But Cade comes in every day with a smile. Cade's still here doing his thing. Cade's this, Cade's that. And it's great. I'm glad they love Cade McNamara. But yeah, there is a noticeable difference in the way that they talk about each quarterback, I feel.
So to me, this is kind of, they're like overcompensating so it doesn't look like they're forgetting about Cade maybe.
Correct.
At the same time. It's not like that. That makes a little more sense.
It's the same reason why probably Jim Harbaugh will spend 25 minutes on Isaiah Gash and about 2 minutes on Blake Corum. You know what I mean? I just feel like it's that kind of deal. Like you want to make sure that you're putting your guys out there and you're making look, JJ McCarthy is not hurting for love at the moment. And I think that's a big part of it.
Just very quickly, because I asked Steve Klinkscale about Omarion Walker today. I don't think he's going to get a new number because there's not much available in terms of a number that he would want to wear that he could wear on both sides of the ball. I mean, there's multiple, there's doubles of just about every number because guys, so many guys guys only go one way, so you can have a different number on offense and defense. So there's not a lot available. Jaden McBurrows is actually number 1 on defense, but he's been hurt and not playing. So even that number that Omarion Walker wore on Saturday isn't technically available. So yeah, I don't really know what the fix is for that. That's the same reason, like, Trente Jones played jumbo tight end last year in a blank 80 jersey. And we've seen that with a couple other guys too. You you make it work so that he can play and he doesn't have to worry about wearing the same number as somebody else out there. I don't think he's going to get a permanent change, but who knows? He's a freshman. He's figuring it out. Steve Klinkscale and which one was it? Was it Jamon Green? I think it was Jamon Green. Just so complimentary of Amarian Walker and his physical skills, how tall he is, the length.
We've seen it. We've seen it up close and personal.
The raw athleticism, the ability to get off the ground. I mean, they just think this kid's got a very, very bright future on either side of the ball, and maybe both. I asked Jim Harbaugh that. He said the vision is to do both because he's good enough and smart enough to be really good on both sides of the ball. So I'm very intrigued by him. He hasn't played a lot. I think he's only played like 20 snaps or something total. Yeah. But the fact that he's already out there getting reps on both sides of the ball, I think is pretty special for a young freshman. So yeah, we'll see what that ends up looking like as it moves forward. But I didn't ask anything about a jersey number or anything, but I would guess Jim Jr., right? James Jr. What do JJ's initials stand for?
Probably, Jim Jr. James.
That would Joseph. Be my guess.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think, you know what? I think the grandparents might actually be in the comments here. Maybe they could elaborate a little bit on what the JJ actually stands for. But yeah, Jim Jr. probably that makes the most sense. His father, Jim. So we'll go with that. Let's go with Jim Jr. for the time being.
Yeah, I've never actually really thought about it, to be honest with you.
Jonathan James, there you go, right there from Liz. Jonathan James.
Oh, you're okay.
I believe is that Grandma Liz? Is that my? I don't want to overstep here. I don't want to get it confused, but I believe that is JJ McCarthy's grandmother.
There you go. So that's cool. Chris is done. I'm looking at questions from 7:08 p.m. So I'm just about 20 minutes behind the most recent questions. So that kind of speaks to how fast they're coming in as we try to get to a bunch.
Fast and furious.
Yeah, it just kind of goes there. There you go.
Jonathan J. Dave Lewis in the comment section. I saw he got his Instagram hacked. He's got it back. Lieutenant Dave Lewis. Welcome.
Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week, Chris, so we can visit it again, I think. Do we think Cade would go the rest of the season as the backup and enter the draft after the year or transfer? Well,
it's not entering the draft.
I don't think it's going to be entering the draft after losing his job. But I mean, he should transfer.
Yes.
I mean, that's not quitting on your team. That's going to try to play somewhere. If he does have aspirations to play in the NFL, I'm not sure he's an NFL quarterback, but if that's what he wants to try to do, he's not going to get that shot holding the clipboard.
Right.
And
I mean, it's entirely possible that, as a captain, he opts to stay and, you never know what the future might hold. But at the end of the day, like I said before, man, to me, Cade McNamara is not a backup quarterback. His resume is too strong to be okay in that position. And this quarterback battle is not going to continue through the year. And so if his goal now is to play football and ultimately get to the NFL, the University of Michigan is probably not going to be the best spot for that. And that's just the reality. And like I said before, it's not a matter of Cade, hit the bricks, thanks for everything, but you can get lost now. It's like, I would like to see Cade McNamara go on and continue to play football and have a successful career somewhere else, because I think he's earned that opportunity. So yeah, the idea of him staying as QB2 for a full year, it just doesn't make any sense to me, man. Not somebody who's won a Big Ten championship, beat Ohio State. He took this team pretty far. I'm sure he thinks he can take another team just as far.
Yeah, because if he wants to go to another school, he can do that pretty much right away. He won't be able to play this year, but he can get in there. He can start learning. He can learn the system. I'm not sure how complicated that is. I believe he's already graduated, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to think back. I feel like I remember seeing him be a graduate. Anyway, whatever his status is as a student, it can be worked out. We've seen other quarterbacks do that in the past. So, yeah.
He is a graduate student, by the way.
Okay, that's what I thought. It would be in his best interest to go somewhere else if he wants to play. I mean, that's not a knock on him. That's not quitting. That's not, leaving your teammates. That's just taking care of number one, dude. Sometimes you got to do that.
And what that means for Michigan, if, unfortunately something does happen to JJ, you've got Davis Warren, Alan Bowman, Alex Orji, Jaden Denegal. You've got quarterbacks there who can be serviceable backup quarterbacks. And so, yeah, I think if I'm Cade McNamara and things look the way they look right now, I'm looking elsewhere to figure out, okay, where can I go play football?
This is an interesting question because I'm not even sure we really saw like a super concerted effort towards one way or the other in the first two games, but is there going to be an emphasis on the passing game or the running game this week against the, huge underdog UConn Huskies? I mean, I don't know, man. I mean, I think they never throw the ball that much. Right. So like, I guess I would lean towards running, but it hasn't been like they've pounded it with one certain running back either over the last couple of weeks. So I don't know.
I envision it to be a little bit more pass heavy because you are going to have JJ out there. We know he's got the mobility, but you saw it against Hawaii. There really wasn't much of a need for him to use it. Yeah. So yeah, I think they're going to hand the ball off to Blake Corum and to CJ Stokes, and I think they're going to get their bulk of carries. But going back to what we talked about before with guys like Andrel Anthony and AJ Henning, who has been awfully quiet here at the beginning of the year too, like they have to try to make an effort to get those guys up and running. I feel like with the running game, like you can take Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and CJ Stokes into Columbus, and they're going to operate and they're going to be fine. But in the passing game, I just feel like that there's more of a ramp-up time there. There's more of a rhythm that needs to be developed, and why not do that against two teams like UConn and Maryland, particularly now that you've got the quarterback situation figured out. So my hope, John, is that there's more of an emphasis on the passing game, but we'll see what it looks like. Either way, we know they're going to win comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, again, 47, not all that different than 51.5, which, yeah, this non-conference slate is really something. I mean, I'm not. There's not a lot of teams that play really good games out of the gate. I mean, you do see it here. Michigan's had some. I mean, the Washington game last year was supposed
Florida.
to be.
I mean, they opened up. Yeah. They've opened up with Florida, neutral site. I mean,
but this year's pretty bad. Pretty bad. Chris, I don't know. What do we got? So Zach Boehm taking his kid this weekend for his first game. Wants to check the setup out. What do we got for first-time visitors, man? What do we got for kids that are coming by the old command center?
Can't give them a gulo. We can't give them the beer. We're running low on the sweat. We will have something for the kiddos. I will make sure of that. Whether it's the video games that are already in the RV, son's more than welcome to come on, play Mortal Kombat, age permitting. But there's also Paperboy on there as well. Juice boxes, candy, little Nerf footballs, man. We'll hook the kids up. Every time somebody comes through with the RV, we always try to empty it out, and whatever is in there, man, what's ours is yours. So
there you go. I like it. I mean, yeah, more the merrier. Okay, well, I didn't even see this question, but this is the perfect segue into it then. Can we talk about that roasting of the schedule? Yeah. I think too big of a deal is being made of it. I mean, like, all right, so Michigan's playing Hawaii, Colorado State, UConn. They blow. All three teams blow. They're going to be some of the worst teams in the country. I get it. A couple things. One, these games were scheduled a while back. Now, I'm not, when they were scheduled, there was never any part of anybody who was like, Hawaii might really push for like a playoff spot there. Like nobody's thinking that. I get it. Those are always meant to be kind of like tune-up games. That's why you pay $2 million to the school to come and play and get beat up on for a little bit. That's one part. The other part is like, Georgia played a good game against Oregon. That was a ranked matchup. But they also then followed it up with a matchup against Samford, an FCS team. Michigan's not playing an FCS team, although you could make an argument that some FCS teams could probably beat these teams. I just think too big of a deal is being made of it across the board. Every school in the country has had a schedule year where it's been trash. I mean, it just kind of works out that way sometimes. And Michigan hasn't had one of these for like the better part of a decade. If you go back every year before this year, they've had a pretty good marquee matchup. It was Washington. Notre Dame was in there a couple times. They played Florida so like this is not the norm. This is more of an anomaly. Next year's not very good either, but I think too big of a deal is being made of it. And you get some tune-ups at the beginning. That's kind of how it works.
You know what it sounds like to me, Brandon? It sounds like sour grapes coming from a fan base who maybe, just lost a game to who the hell did Notre Dame just lose to?
Marshall.
Marshall. Okay. So I hear a lot of Notre Dame fans up in arms. I hear a lot of Michigan State fans talking a lot, obviously Ohio State fans. But to me, it all speaks to the fact that people are just a little bit nervous about Michigan. That's really what it comes down to, because everybody has this type of schedule every now and then. The only reason people are making a big deal out of it now is because Michigan's beating everybody's ass. But eventually, people are going to have to deal with it. Michigan State's going to have to deal with it. Penn State's going to have to deal with it. Ohio State's going to have to deal with it. And a lot of the people that are talking, like the folks over in Notre Dame, join a damn conference before you open your mouth about what our schedule looks like. They talk about the Big Ten. What's Notre Dame's? I saw a stat that came out about Notre Dame's record against the last 5 or 6 Big Ten teams they've played, and I believe it's a losing record. So everybody that's talking about Michigan's schedule, I just think it's sour grapes, man. I think that they know Michigan is legit. Michigan has a real chance to repeat as Big Ten champions. And I think there's a lot of rival fan bases out there who are just not mentally prepared for that.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. It's one of these things. It's year to year. It's not the same every year. It's pretty bad this year.
Doesn't Alabama schedule FCS opponents in November? I mean, what are we talking about?
Yep.
Who cares?
You know, it's Furman or it's Southeastern Louisiana State Academy.
You know, if Notre Dame folks have a problem with Michigan's schedule, come join the Big Ten East.
There you go.
Come play in the Big Ten East, and then we can talk about schedules. Until then, I don't want to hear from the Irish. I don't want to hear from the Buckeyes. I sure as hell don't want to hear from the Spartans.
Yeah.
Western Michigan and Akron, right?
I think this is obviously way down the line, but how do we see Jim Harbaugh handling the quarterback room next year? I don't think there's much of a handle. I think it's JJ and that's it.
It's handled.
You know, as the third-year player after a full year of starting under his belt, he's going to be the man. He's going to come into the year as a potential Heisman candidate, in my opinion, because I think Michigan's going to whoop ass this year. I think he's going to be pretty good. Yeah, and he's going to be returning next year as an experienced. I mean, dude, he'll be a veteran by then, right? He'll be a third-year junior ready to play and make a lot of plays. So, yeah, I don't think there's anything to even really think about. And if things continue the way that they're continuing right now, there's not even going to be a new body in the room because Michigan is not recruiting a 2023 quarterback as we currently sit. So whatever's in there right now is what it's going to be with JJ as the lead dog. And that's it. I mean, I don't think it goes much farther than that at all. Everybody's going to know who Michigan's quarterback is.
Just think about how exciting that's going to be. Yeah. An entire offseason of just knowing that J.J. McCarthy is working and getting better at that spot, and there's no debate. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that is an interesting concept, and just just working on things as he's QB1 from the jump. Yeah, that's going to be something to be prepared for sure. This question has come up a little bit here and there. They asked me about this on Jamie's show earlier today too. And it kind of goes back to what I said before. Talking highly about JJ does not mean you're talking poorly about Cade, but does Cade see the field like JJ did last year as QB2? I think no. I don't think he does at all, because the reason why you brought in JJ last year was to bring a completely new look, something that Cade can't do or doesn't do as well or can't offer or doesn't scare the defense with. There's just nothing that Cade does that you would have to have an extra game plan for that you can't just have JJ do. I think we will see Cade McNamara. The only way we will see Cade McNamara play this year is how you would see any normal backup quarterback play anywhere. It's, mop up duty, or if JJ gets dinged. And that's, again, if he doesn't decide to look elsewhere. I just don't know why. I mean, if there's a reason why you would bring Cade McNamara in for a player or two or a package, I don't know what that reason is.
Well, no, I'm not sure. And the numbers tell the story. The numbers through the first 2 weeks tell the story. And I didn't even know this, but I was just looking at the numbers earlier today. Cade McNamara has got the lowest QBR of the 4 quarterbacks on the roster right now. So he's below JJ McCarthy, obviously. He's below Davis Warren, and he's below Alan Bowman. Yikes. And then you go down to his rushing yards, and he's minus 25 on the season, minus 8.3. And so every metric that you look at for Cade McNamara, and you're like, okay, we got to get this guy on the field. It's just like, there's another guy who's better at that. I'll go to Davis Warren here for that, or I'll go to Alan Bowman here for that, or I'll go to JJ McCarthy here for that. I just don't think there is a need like you saw with JJ McCarthy last year to bring in Cade McNamara. I don't know, outside of experience and leadership, from a physical standpoint, just purely abilities, I'm not sure what Cade McNamara brings to the table that the other three quarterbacks don't.
Yeah, that's as simple as it is. I just you bring a guy in like that. I mean, think like in the past, think like Taysom Hill, think like Cordell Stewart. That's going back a ways, right? Slash back in the day when he was in college or with the Steel. I mean, like you bring a guy in like that. The Belldozer. Anybody remember Blake Bell for Oklahoma? They would bring him in down in the goal line. I like what do you bring him to do?
Here's the other part of that is. You saw what the crowd was like Saturday when things didn't go well with Cade McNamara behind center. And you know damn well, if it's UConn, Maryland, I mean, anytime it happens in Michigan Stadium, if Cade McNamara is behind center and that offense is not humming along, you know what it's going to sound like.
Uh-oh, did we lose Chris? We lost Chris. I don't know. I'm going to have to go all the way to the bottom of these new questions to see. Maybe is the mistake on my end, or is it only Chris? Let me know in the comments over there if it's just Chris or if it's my broadcast as well. Because on my end it still looks like everything is fine, but Chris is frozen up, locked, and gone. So we'll see. We'll see if Chris decides to rejoin us here in a moment. I took him out of the studio. I can see his feed is still frozen. So. Oh boy, he's never going to hear the end of this. I already see the Android comments popping up. Well deserved. There goes. He completely shut her down. Now he's back. I just can't wait to hear this.
Fucking internet.
Oh, Chris. If you want to take a look at the comments real quick.
I don't want to see it. I wanted to go one show without an audio, a visual, some sort of technical issue. And it just couldn't happen. It just wouldn't happen. I honestly might get bullied into just becoming an Apple guy. That's where we're at now. Am I still screwed up?
No, I think you're good. My Wi-Fi is now doing something weird.
What in the
hell?
I think
whatever happened to you is now spilling over into my system.
It's so bad on my end, it's infecting you.
Yes.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think that, dude, you were just locked up, dude, like a
here's
mummified Chris.
I'm not sure how far I got, but the bottom line is I don't think that Jim Harbaugh is going to be making QB decisions based on what they're going to be saying in the fans or in the stands, but it is a part of the overall story. Coming in, not really having that special thing that you do to make a difference, and then you're already struggling mentally, you're already in the tank. I get Cade's mentally tough, and I think Jim Harbaugh is probably going to want to give him a shot to sort of dig himself out of it. But, man, that's tough sledding, especially when things aren't working well offensively.
Yeah, another one here from Sean, and this has got a layer or two to it. Do we get chills when Mr. Brightside comes on? Are we used to it now since we're regular? So, one thing, Chris has a lyric on his body.
The tattoo's there, by the way, Nick. I saw Nick from YouTube said, hey, when's the tattoo coming? The tattoo's already there, Nick. It happened.
Chris has a lyric on his body, and I still don't like the song. I don't like any music like that. The whiny, like emotional, like it's wienery to me. I just don't like it.
Brandon
not going to catch me listening to that kind of stuff.
Brandon doesn't have the goth side in him.
Chris forced it upon me a little bit in the RV. No. He played it in the RV, and I just
listen.
Had to take it.
We did, we had Jalen Mayfield on last season. We talked about Mr. Brightside. It became a big controversy. We were both saying, hey, they got to get that shit out of the stadium. It's killing the vibe. And then I'll be honest, man, you go through a long off season, you reflect on all the success the team had. And I found myself in the days leading up humming Mr. Brightside, humming Pump It Up, humming all those things that used to bother me. And I think now I've associated it with championships and success and beating Ohio State. And so to me, I'm now ready to fully embrace Mr. Brightside.
Chris, are you ready to plug? Are you ready to plug one of our sponsors? I see the shirt on, and I know what your answer is going to be.
We got to do it.
Thomas Fighting wants to know, what's your favorite beer?
Well, I mean, to me, I go right down to Wolverine State Brewing Company and I get a can of the Gulo. I mean, that's all I pretty much drink now. Brandon is 100% running off of Pepsi. I'm 100% running off of Gulo from Wolverine State Brewing Company. But, dude, they have a ton of selection over there. Like we said, we're working on something special with the private label beer, which hopefully is going to be available relatively soon. But Wolverine State Brewing Company, if it comes from there, man, it tastes good.
For those of you who don't know, so that beer that Chris is really, I mean, you just had your first one like last week, right?
Yes.
And you
like
obsessed with it now.
Hooked.
Gulo is the genus and species scientific name for the Wolverine. That's what that name means. Gulo is the genus. There you go. Is the genus and species name for the Wolverine animal. They have a Gulo room at Wolverine State Brewing Company. It's kind of like a back private area where you can bring a party and do different things back there. But yes, go down to Wolverine State Brewing Company if you've never been. It's not in like the typical downtowny Main Street areas of Ann Arbor, so you got to go find it a little bit. But you will not find a better beer selection and you won't find better food, and Nate is the man. So go there, check it out, get yourself something to eat, something to drink. Do that whenever you're in Ann Arbor, not just on Saturdays. So yeah, shout out to Wolverine State Brewing Company, and yes, excited for Chris and some potential we'll just leave it at that. We're excited for Chris and some potential developments over there at Wolverine State Brewing Company. All right, there you go. Which wide receiver will emerge as JJ's favorite target? I think there's a couple ways you could go with this, Chris. Obviously, Ronnie's the grizzled veteran, and he had the 6 grabs last week. So, like, obviously, there's already a little connection there. The way he hit Cornelius Johnson on those 2 passes, I mean, the deep one down the middle was 50 yards plus, and then the absolute rocket over to the left side of the end zone. It looks like their timing is on point. And if you had asked me this before the season started, I probably would have picked Andrel because they're classmates. They're very close. They talked about that chemistry. We saw it last year against Michigan State. I don't know. I don't know if I can pick any one of those guys. And then you've got Roman Wilson, who's done things. I don't know. Where does your mind first go? Like, do you have an answer even, or is it kind of like what I just did, where I picked 3 different sides of the dice there?
Confidently 100% Andrel Anthony. I truly believe that's coming. And it's funny when JJ solidified the QB1 job and he had posted something on social media, Andrel had also replied and had said something about all those late night sessions in Al Glick Fieldhouse. And we talked to them about that when we did the sit down interview with JJ and Andrel and Donovan. Those guys, after football games, I think when they got back from Wisconsin, late in the night, went into Al Glick and we're tossing the ball around and working out and getting reps. And they talked about how, standing on the sidelines during those games, they had so much energy. They had so much they wanted to get out that when the game was over, they had to go in the Glick and they had to work on it. And so I know those two have a chemistry. It hasn't really come to fruition the first 2 weeks, but that makes sense given the way the quarterback battle has gone. I think we're going to see that relationship, that chemistry start to grow over the coming weeks. And I think come November, JJ and Andrel are going to be a pretty deadly combination.
I mean, I'll tell you this, it certainly doesn't hurt if he's got great chemistry with 4 or 5 of those guys, which, I mean, True. It looks like he does. Like I said, I mean, the timing, throw Donovan Edwards in the mix too. That pass down the sideline was a thing of beauty. The timing of it, the window, over I probably was a linebacker on a little wheel route or something like that, but over the first defender in front of the deep defender. Dude, sky's the limit with this offense with that kid at the helm, dude. There's no doubt about it. Lewis Blake, I feel like we've talked about this quite a bit, but yeah, man, the RV is going on the road. I mean,
every game. We're going to be in Iowa. We're going to be in Bloomington. We're going to be in Piscataway. We're going to be in Columbus. I mean, we're posted up. You'll find us. You'll see us.
Absolutely. We still have to figure some of that out. We got to find where we're going to put this bad boy, but it's going.
It will be parked. I can tell you that.
It is going. Apparently, the RV was stashed at my parents' house, had a couple fans stop by to see the command center out in the old NL, man, out in the sticks, man. Phenomenal. Can you believe it?
Phenomenal. I can at this point. I can believe it.
Yeah. That's wild. That's so funny, man. We'll probably get into this a little bit more on Friday with the over-unders and my predictions and stuff like that. You got any random thoughts now here on a Wednesday, Chris, about what JJ's going to do, how he's going to look this Saturday against UConn? Noon kick, inferior opponent again, might only play a half. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to figure out what the game might look like because of some of those things. But what do you see, man? What do you see?
I'm thinking 14 of 17 for 310 yards and 3 touchdowns. I mean, I think it's going to be a very efficient performance, but I do think it's going to be similar to what we saw against Hawaii. I think he gets 1 or 2 series in the second half, and then after that, we'll see who comes in. Is it Cade McNamara? Is it Davis Warren? Yeah. Is it Alan Bowman? Is it Alex Orji? I'm really excited. I think that's, now that the situation is settled, I'm really excited to see how Jim Harbaugh handles that, especially here with the next, at least 2 games. You're going to have some mop-up duty time, and what does that look like from a QB2 standpoint?
Yeah. No, I mean, if I had to just kind of lazily answer the question, I would say probably like last week. I mean, He'll be in there for a half. He'll throw it, well and not that much, and score a few times and maybe run it. I mean, I just don't think we're going to see a full arsenal or a full display of what it really could be this week. There's just no need. Even to go back to what we talked about earlier, even if you want to get the starters in a little bit longer into the third quarter, maybe I don't know if it'll go much past that. I still, it's not like he's going to throw it 40 times against UConn. It's just not going to happen. So yeah, we'll see what that ends up looking like. This is an interesting question, and one we I don't know about the RV specifically, but from Cody, will we have other media people on the RV at the away games? It's not anything we've really talked about, and actually we kind of went away from having a person to come on to talk to us. I mean, I don't, look, if Brendan if the Ohio State guy was in person with us last year, Chris might be in jail still. That's all.
That guy was so smug. Look, he had every right to be confident heading into the game, but you could see, man, the fans weren't trying to hear it, and I heard about 5 minutes of it, and I'm like, all right, I'm done with this guy. Get him off. No more Buckeyes on the show. No more Spartans on the show. Now maybe we can get some other rival, but I just can't deal with that group. I can't do it.
So it also became like I'm trying to work with their schedule, and a lot of times they weren't able to do live, so we'd have to record it. I just kind of made a decision before the season started that we weren't gonna have a person on from the other places. I mean, I don't know. I didn't really think it brought that much. Not everybody is as good at what we do,
It's true. It's true.
There was a lot that kind of went into it. I'm not saying like it's never going to happen, but it's not really part of the plan so far. So anyway. If you're asking because you wanted to show up and jump them, that's probably another reason why we aren't going to do it, but not part of the plan right now. Gary, this is a really good question because I noted this to myself while watching the game. JJ McCarthy did go under center a lot. I think
a lot.
All of last year and most of everything I've seen since, the new era of Michigan offense is all shotgun. And JJ was up under center taking the direct snap a lot on Saturday. I don't know. Maybe that was, they just thought they could just come off the ball a little faster, a little better, maybe reestablish that running game a little bit because it wasn't so dominant against Colorado State. I don't know. But I noticed the same thing, that JJ was under center taking the snap at various parts of the field. Didn't seem to matter down or distance. It was noticeable and part of the game plan. I don't know if I really understand why. I mean, if they're going to do the zone read stuff as much as they do and really spread it out and let JJ move the pocket, I wouldn't put him under center very much. I don't know. Chris, I know it's hard to track stuff like that down on the field, but did you notice it at all?
I have noticed it quite a bit. And to me, it just speaks to what JJ McCarthy is capable of. Now, that's not to say that Cade McNamara can't go under center, because we know he can go under center. But the point is that you can pretty much line JJ up anywhere. There's no formation that's really off limits, and it's really about giving the defense a different look, keeping things fresh, keeping them guessing. And when you have a guy like McCarthy behind center, there's a lot of different looks you can give, and there's a lot of different possibilities out of those looks. And so to me, I've been a little bit surprised to see him under center as much as he was. But again, it was his first start, and it was after like a 2-hour rain delay. So I don't know what type of thinking went into that, but I did notice it. Yes.
Maybe I didn't know this. Has this changed? So Darren May is saying that the transfer portal is not active right now, and I believe that. That's probably a good thing in place, but I know in 2017, Kelly Bryant left Clemson in the middle of the year and was at Missouri. I mean, he didn't play for Missouri. He didn't go there and start playing right away, but I was under the impression that he left and went right to the school and was then the guy next year. Maybe I'm misinformed on that, or maybe the rule has changed.
I do think it's I've heard it. To be honest, we've been doing so much other shit. I haven't looked into it, but I have heard that now a few times that the portal's closed till the end of the season. The transfer with us. I'm trying to read through the comments to see if anybody can confirm that. But as soon as you guys went live. Look, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can research that. Either way, if the portal's closed during the season, I mean, I still expect, whether it's during the year, after the year, if the question is about Cade McNamara, I still anticipate that he's going to end up in the portal.
Yeah, that's if that is entirely true, then that changes my thought process quite a bit. Then he doesn't have an option. He's going to stay and be the backup quarterback for this year. It wouldn't make any sense for him to do anything else. So that's an interesting point, Darren. I don't want to, it's not really the best example, but Dylan McCaffrey left before the season, right? That was the deal. He lost the job to Joe Milton, left before the season. Okay. Yeah, so that's an interesting thing. Maybe I'll need to dive a little deeper into that and find out exactly what's allowed and what's not. But that would change things in a major way. If he can't leave and go to another school, then I mean, there isn't really even an option. You just finish out the year and do what you do. So yeah, we'll see what that looks like. I'm starting to think this, Chris. I know we said we're not going to give any love to the Terps because they always let us down. But which one is the bigger test at this point? Maryland? Well, Maryland's at home.
Right. It's at home
on the road, but
it's homecoming. It's it's going to be, it's Iowa, it's Kinnick, it's the stripe out game. There's no question.
Iowa is allergic to touchdowns. They hate them.
Right. They do. But when they play Michigan, I just think it's going to be a different story. I think they're going to give them a full 4 quarters. And so it's going to be interesting, man, because Michigan is up there in terms of scoring offense. They're averaging, I think, 53.5 points per game. They're, at least the note that we got said that they were tied for first. I've seen some stats now that disagree with that a little bit. But either way, Michigan's offense has been humming along. They're scoring a lot of points. I think they're going to continue to do that against UConn. I think they're going to do it against Maryland. And then when they get to Iowa, I'm really interested to see what this team looks like. If it is a situation where they're scoring 17 points and the defense has to come up with big stops, that's when we're going to find out a lot about this team. And I think that happens in Iowa.
Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine a Michigan offense with McCarthy behind center that can only muster 17 points in Kinnick?
No.
It's hard to imagine that.
They're going to score a lot of points this year, dude. I think they're gonna light it up. I mean, we saw. I know Hawaii. I know, but it never ever would have looked like that with Cade. Like it couldn't. It can't. And I just think when JJ's got to have it, dude, and he's just going and he's going for the gusto, and he knows it's. I think it's going to be
Brady Gallagher from the Facebook page. I am fully aware of what happened in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship game, but that was in Indianapolis, and that's a different animal than going to Kinnick and playing on the road. I'm telling you right now. Look, save the clip. Copy and paste it, whatever you want to do. I think Iowa is going to give them a full 4 quarters, and I think Michigan's going to have to find a way to win it, not just with their offense, but with their defense. And that's when things are going to get really interesting. There's a lot of defense. There's a lot of talent on the defensive side that looks good through the first 2 weeks, but is unproven against legitimate competition.
Yeah. No, it's you're giving Iowa more credit than most. I'm not mad about it.
It's not even really Iowa that I'm giving credit to. It's the setting, it's the environment, It's the situation. It's just things happen when you're in Kinnick, and I think that's going to be the case. But you can see it in the comments section a lot. 42-10, 49-6.
I did find this a little interesting. I think Alex Orji only played 4 snaps in the opener. He just happened to rush one time and score a touchdown, so he kind of made a little. And then Robert Griffin's comment certainly helped to draw attention to his presence as the orgy in the end zone thing that he said. But yeah, it's I think it's one of those things where Jim Harbaugh talked about it earlier. If freshmen are going to be in the 2 deep, they're going to play. If they're not, then they're going to stay under that 4-game threshold and preserve the red shirt. And Alex Orji's not in the 2 deep. He's going to be, I mean, right now he would be the 4th quarterback at best, I think, because you're going to have JJ, you're going to have maybe the 5th. He's probably the 5th quarterback. It's probably JJ, Cade, Davis Warren, and Alan Bowman. I would put all 4 of those guys ahead of Alex Orji in a sense of like, we need a quarterback to go in and play the rest of this game to try to win it. It's not Orji. You might, like we saw in the opener, throw him in there for a token snap or 2, let him carry the ball. But I really think that their plan is to redshirt him and try to see, one, is he a quarterback? Is he going to stay there? Because he's built and he's athletic enough.
Man, he should.
Other spots, but
he really
figure
should.
it out. Let him develop. Let him learn. You're not going to need him to play QB this year. So that's my thought. Because when you play 80-plus guys, and he played week 1 but didn't play week 2, that's the only thing I can come up with, is that they're trying to limit how many games he gets into to preserve that red shirt.
Yeah, I think you're right. Absolutely.
So, I want to see him. I mean, he's an intriguing player, the way he's built, the way he runs. I would like to see him in there running it a little bit, but I also think it's probably smart. Keep him out, redshirt him, get him an extra year of development. That's big for quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And for him, who, again, like I said, he's got the athleticism to build and the potential to play a couple different spots, even though
I mean, physically, the dude
you want him to play quarterback so badly.
Yes, I do. I want a quarterback who's jacked, who's athletic, who can, was it Jim Harbaugh said he's Herschel Walker with a cannon for an arm. I mean, that's what I want at the quarterback position. Just give me that.
No pressure. Herschel Walker with the rocket arm.
But I do agree. Yeah, I'd like to see him, get a year of development under his belt. I think if Michigan does get in a situation where they need a true QB2 and you've got a guy like Cade or you got a guy like Davis Warren or Bowman, no need to bring in Alex Orji at that point. But I do have really, really high hopes for Alex Orji moving forward. And we spent a little bit of time around him over the summer, and the dude physically looks like a 5th-year senior. I mean, I don't understand how kids come out of high school looking like that. When I was in high school, I had a bowl cut. I was wearing Jinkos. I was like, nobody was trying to recruit me for anything. This guy comes out of high school.
Sprinting home, trying to be in shape. I mean, I just know it seems like a different time. That's all I'll say.
Your boy was putting in miles. Your boy was putting in miles.
Smoke, smoldering,
muddy.
Where'd that comment go? I believe so. This was a long time ago. We were talking about the 2023 quarterback situation. Mark mentions that Ronnie Bell's brother picked up an offer. I don't think it's for quarterback. I think he's listed as an athlete. I think he's like 6'3" or 6'4", pretty thin, and can do multiple things. If he ends up being a quarterback recruit for Michigan, then so be it. But I think it's more of a got some athleticism. Look what we got out of Ronnie type of thing. He was not a heavily recruited player, and now he's arguably the best receiver on the team. I think it's a similar situation to that. They're not. I think Dante Moore is still on the table, by the way, completely.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that Kendrick Bell, Ronnie Bell's little brother, is being viewed as a quarterback per se. Now, he could get a look if he decides to come to Michigan, but I don't think that's like their quarterback plan in 2023. So anyway, I'm pretty sure that's why you mentioned that, Mark. It was a while ago, but anyway.
You got people just randomly saying Android. Like no reference to any, just Android in the comments.
AJ Cooper, Pepsi is terrible if it's flat. You're right. That's why I'm finishing off the 2-liter like a true American. There's no glass. I just got to get it down.
Oh, go on, Brandon. Can you see by the dawn's early light?
It's going down so smooth. So smooth. Just got to finish her off. And that's why I'm drinking it right. I mean, a 2-liter has about like a 36-hour shelf life.
Yeah, you get that gets opened and closed a lot. You're losing a lot of carbonation on that bad boy.
You go past that mark, and it's no bueno anymore. Uncle Mike with the question. The Gulo Gulo is an IPA, correct?
Yes, sir. It is an IPA. IPAs are my favorite. So yes, Gulo Gulo IPA.
So I'm not a fan of IPA. I'm not a big beer guy in the first place, but IPAs, the hoppy, I can't do it.
You pretty much drink the dark cement thick.
It's weird. It's because I don't consider myself a beer guy. I don't keep beer in the house. I don't drink them for, just come home, crack a beer. I don't do that. But if I go to the bar and I'm going to have a beer, I'll have one of the stouts, dude, the real dark ones. But I can't do an IPA. I can't, the all day IPA. You're supposed to be able to drink them all day. I can't do it.
What was that beer that you had when we were in Mackinac? We were traveling with the team. It was like a nutter butter biscuit cake beer. What the hell was that?
It was like a fluffer
nutter. That's what it was.
It was all over the map, dude.
It smelled like a glass of syrup.
I had to eat it with a knife and a fork. Yeah, cut it out of the glass. Big bite. Yeah. But yeah, no, the Gulo, Chris swears by it. What's the one that I was drinking that I did like a lot? My dad was drinking those too. Is the bottled ones, Chris? What are they?
Yes, I don't have those, but I do believe that's a lager. Yes, that is a lager. That is also a great beer as well, and that's all going to be at the RV this weekend. If you want to come by and sample it, we're going to have like 4 or 5 different beers from Wolverine State Brewing Company. Come sip them all.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick before we finish up, we're a little over an hour. Throw this up here from our buddy Rich at MediaScapes. Then we'll take a couple more questions and we'll tune it out for the night. Here we go.
Hey, this is Rich from MediaScapes located in Burton. Let me fill you in a little bit about our business. We are a full-service sign and graphic company from banners, yard signs to vehicle wraps. When it comes to marketing your business, we also provide video and photography services as well as apparel and promotional items. If it's something that will make your business or organization stand out, we do it. And I guarantee we do it well. We are MediaScapes on Dorrit Highway, south of Bristol Road, just before Rock Bottom. Check out our work at MediaScapes.com. That's MediaScapes with a K.com.
There you have it from Rich. As always, follow that up with the spelling, as he says, MediaScapes with a K, 810-410-4737. Get your boy Rich on the phone, man. He'll take care of you.
And if you want to know why we bring it up on every single show, because the RV wrap, the sound, the audio. I mean, this guy is helping us with so much of what we're doing in terms of how we're trying to grow our business. And so if you guys, again, listen to the commercial, he offers a lot of services over there. If you're trying to really get your brand out there, build your brand, you got to call Rich over at MediaScapes, man. I guarantee he's got something for you.
And I feel like we've got a lot more coming for you, the listener, the reader,
because of Rich. Yeah.
Because of Rich. So
absolutely
can't be complimentary enough when it comes to that dude and what he does over there. Him and his brother, Emily. I think it's just those 3 right now. I think Rich talked about that. He was looking for a little more help, but they make it, they get it done, man. Well,
that's the other thing. Small local business. Support small local business, man, because they are doing real big things for sure.
I mean, they the turnaround time for a big job like what we asked them to do was incredible.
It was a week.
Yeah,
it was a week.
Incredible. So there you have that. All right, not a lot of questions left. I'm going through here. It's a lot of comments. I'm catching up. I'm 5 minutes behind now on the questions. So I apologize if I skipped past yours. I'm trying to go a little quicker to get towards the end.
What about, can we go to Gary Klein's question? Because I think that's an interesting question.
You see it, go with it. If I find it, I'll throw it up there. But. So
Gary Klein is asking, are Michigan fans getting a little overzealous here based on the results from the first 2 weeks? Obviously there's a lot of excitement in the fan base. You saw the way people responded with the type of game that JJ McCarthy had on Saturday. Here's how I'm going to answer that question, Gary. No, I know Michigan fans like to get excited. They like to prop up. I mean, last year at this time, we were talking about Blake Corum in the Heisman race. And this year, JJ McCarthy's getting Heisman. And that's just the way it goes. But when you really step out and you look at it, man, what are we talking about? We're talking about sports. And we get it for college football 4 months a year. And I think if people want to dive headfirst, get excited about it, enjoy it, hype up your team, that's what it's about, man. That's what makes it fun. And so I've even noticed it in the work that we do. We're putting out these stats. We're talking about some of the good things that's happening with the team. And a lot of people are they don't even want to hear it until November. And I can't get behind that mentality. I want to enjoy the entire season. And when the team's doing well, I want to be able to enjoy it. And if we can't enjoy sports, man, what are we doing? So Gary, throw caution to the wind, man. Dive in head first, jump into the hype. I'm telling you, the waters are warm and it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's they're number 4 in
sports,
the
man.
They made the playoff last year. They went 12-2. I mean, I think it's pretty appropriate. They're scoring 50 points a game. They're going to be favored in 11 out of 12, maybe all 12 regular. I mean, I think things are where they need to be. But it can change in an instant. I mean, ask Texas A&M, ask Notre Dame. I mean, you got to show up and you got to play. But I think expectations and hype and buzz and excitement is right where it needs to be. I mean, I don't know why it should or would be any lower, given what happened last year, given the transition to JJ, and given how things have looked through 2 weeks. I think it's spot on. I mean, and like Chris said, that's what you do, man. Fans are fanatical. They get into it, and media people, start to do the prediction thing, and you look down the schedule and you go off the paper points, and that's what it is. So I don't know, man. I think things are pretty spot on. Jim Harbaugh's confident. The coaches are confident. The players are, I think, with good reason. So no, I don't think there's, I will. It's not Michigan fans either. Everybody's overzealous. You win one big game, you're like, oh, we're going to the finals. We're doing,
I'm pretty sure even during the Lions game, I texted you during the first quarter, and I was like, Lions to the Super Bowl, and then by halftime, I was like, all right, I take that back.
So
it's what we do.
I actually think the expectations and the excitement and
it's all warranted.
Yeah, it's all warranted. I agree. I do. I think it's right where it needs to be. There was one more question up here that I liked, and now I lost it because I was down towards the bottom. Okay. I personally think it's because of how Jim Harbaugh went about it, because it's unorthodox. It's weird. Cade was really good last year. Do we think that Cade, as the team captain, should make any sort of statement supporting JJ as the quarterback? No. I mean, they play football. JJ's better. He won the job. I just think this whole narrative about like Cade's feelings and like Jim Harbaugh's turning his back on him, and how could the team go away from because the JJ's a better player. It's just that simple, dude. It doesn't need to be. This isn't the Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right, it's football. JJ's a better player. He starts. End of discussion, man. That's it. I don't know.
I'm quite certain there will be no public statement coming from Cade McNamara.
My energy was not directed at you.
Correct.
The question.
I think Matt is asking a question based on a narrative that is floating out there quite heavily about Cade. And we talked about it on the last show. Like, I wonder how McNamara feel. If it seems like everybody's feeling like they need to handle him with kid gloves. And I think that, he's got experience. He said he's built up a callus for it. He lost his starting job, and now we'll see what happens. But no, there will be no public statement in support of JJ McCarthy. There's not, that would accomplish nothing.
Yeah. I just don't think it's, it's just not necessary. I mean,
those things don't happen. Have you ever heard of anything like that happening?
No. And it's competitive sports, man. I mean, it's just some guys play and some don't. I mean, I see somebody kind of being like facetious, like, yeah, does Carson Barnhart need a statement for Trente Jones? There's position battles going on all over the place,
Can we just have a press conference of guys that come out one by one and ask that we support the guy ahead of them? I would love that. Yeah. That'd be phenomenal.
No, I mean, again, I'm not taking a shot at your question, Matthew, because you're not alone in like, oh, this has got to be about this or do this or do. I just don't think it's necessary.
I think you're right, Brandon. I think people have been caught up on the emotional side of it way too much, and you did feel a little bit for Cade, on Saturday night, and just with the way things have transpired. But at the end of the day, he's a big boy. This is big boy football. No statements need to be made. It's just one guy's better. Let's move on.
Is it going to be like they announced the starters and Cade sitting on the bench with his news? Remember high school games when they used to do that? The visiting team would come in and the student section would have newspaper. I do that in college too, I think. But no, I just don't think it went that deep on either side of it. I just, I think these guys are both playing and trying to win the job. I think that's really about all it is. I wanted to say this, Chris, as we get ready to fade out here.
Oh my goodness! Did a teenage girl steal your old case?
Yeah, I got jumped by a 14-year-old girl Yeah, she took my phone case, so I had to go out. And
she said, "Give me that."
Yeah. I'll send it to CJ's 8-year-old daughter. I'll put it in
there
the mail.
Go. We talked about that. Yes. There were a lot of young girls that came by the RV Saturday, saw Brandon's phone case, and were all about it. So,
oh boy, it's always something around here.
It is
something around here.
A lot of jabs about the phones, about the technology, man.
Well. Would you
listen,
like?
Okay, can I make a declaration? Last year I said it. If Michigan went on to win the Big Ten championship, I would get the tattoo with the lyrics from Mr. Brightside. I held up my end of the bargain. Damn it, Brandon! If Michigan goes on, makes the college football playoff at a minimum, wins the Big Ten, makes the college football playoff, your boy might look into some Apple technology. That might make the switch.
That's not just a permanent addition to the skin. That is a lifestyle change.
That's a lifestyle change. That's another big change that I'm willing to explore if Michigan can hold up their end of the bargain. But I'm not going to go invest in new equipment if the team ain't taking care of business on the field. So get the job done, and then maybe I'll stop going to the gas station for my accessories.
He didn't commit as much to that as he did. There was some mights and some maybes.
I got a real soft spot for the Android stuff. I just do.
You know what, Brady? I thought Chris was putting something out there for me, and I'm like, listen, Bucko, I could come up with something on my own if I need to. This body is pure as the driven snow, dude. There's no tattoos, no ink, no holes, no piercings. This is just like the day I came out, son.
Just like the day.
You can't. I'm gonna stop right there before I get a little too crazy. We ran out of music. We outlasted the outro music. That usually happens when we get going a little bit. I'll think about it, dude. I'll think about it. How many straight podcasts has Chris?
Only two. Only two.
Hey, you know what, Darren? You're right. It is a blank canvas. I got a lot of options. I got more real estate now than I once did when I was actually
tons of options.
A tattoo. The JJ Smile tattoo, that's not a bad tattoo. It's another like young dude's logo, so I'm a little, I don't love that, but like in terms of being like vague enough and also kind of like having a message, but nah.
Now you're going to get it tattooed on the hand though. You got to get it there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be, thank you. You don't put a bumper sticker on a Ferrari, dude. That's the perfect way to end the show right there.
Well, I'm just going to let you have that, Brandon.
Nothing else needs to be said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We're an hour and 17 minutes in. A beautiful evening on Fan-Led Wednesday. We'll be back on Friday night with predictions, with over-unders, with looking at the weekend slate. You guys know the drill by this point. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you to our sponsors, Rich at MediaScapes, Nate over at Wolverine State Brewing Company. Check them both out. Do us a favor. Go meet them. Go say hi. I could be like an 88 Ferrari. 84. Well, I'm an 84 birth. I'm a 1984 Ferrari. There you go. I'll take that. All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll be back on Friday night. Take care.